420 issue, so we're super excited about that. And we're excited to hear just a bit more about you and your journey. So I can't wait to I've had a blast getting to know you, and we met maybe
In the spring, I think.
in the spring, and you had that you were mothering me a bit with my girlfriend, and
Yes, I was. I sat you down and said, "Is there anyone special?" And you lit up, and I was like, "Sit down. We need to talk."
yeah, we got done.
And,
And then
it
she was
was
like, "Sit back down."
before Geneva even moved here,
Yep.
and she was on her way.
Yep.
I think so.
Yep.
And so
And you gave me some advice.
So I asked you what your mother thought, what her mother thought, and things, and it was good. So yes, I think I mothered you.
All signs pointing to yes,
Yeah.
and so
Yes, that was true.
Well, I know my mother will appreciate having a mothering, energy down here for me. So
Good.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about. I mean, you've been top producer. You're very successful in your industry. I believe, and you'll touch on this, but you didn't start till like
2011.
till 2011.
And
So-
that was a slow year because we were just coming back out of the real estate bottom. So
Right.
I was the only person in my real estate class. And my husband, who's been in real estate for 35 years, didn't have his license. And so he got licensed recently, and there was 90 people in his classes.
Oh wow, a little different.
But I had a great teacher, and he told me that real estate agents need to be educators. And so he had just me, and he educated me, and he said, you need to take what I'm teaching you and teach your clients, because most people, if they've bought a house, they haven't bought a house in 15 years, sometimes 30 years, or sometimes never. And you need to educate them. So I loved my teacher, and he taught me to be a teacher.
Yeah. Well, he clearly did well,
Thank
right?
you.
So tell us a little bit about you, where you grew up. I know you grew up in Dallas. Kind of tell us a little bit about that. What led you to where you are now?
So I grew up in Dallas along with my parents, my grandparents, and one of my great-grandparents, and then had my kids in Dallas. So my kids are fifth-generation Dallasites. And when they were approaching middle school, my husband suggested that it would be better for our kids and our family to go to a smaller school, and I can certainly attest to that now, 15 years later. At the time, I loved where I lived. It's where I grew
So
up.
you're like heart of Dallas type
In the
stuff?
heart of Dallas, close to White Rock
And now
Lake.
you're going into the middle of...
Yeah, and at
Oh,
the time,
man.
it was the middle of nowhere. Certainly, fortunately for me, it's coming our way, and
yeah.
that's been part of our success too. But we moved to Van Alstyne, Texas, and there was
Where?
Yeah, no, there was a new Burger King, and everyone was so excited. And I'm
Big
not
things
kidding.
happening
Yeah.
in Van Alstyne.
And I was just like, how close is it to La Madeleine? And it was far.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so one of the best experiences I've had as a realtor was actually looking for houses with the real estate agent. And he knew our market really well. And as I've told you before, we wore him out. And so when I'm on the other side of that now, to jump ahead, when I am a buyer agent and we're on house number 20, I remember
Yeah.
that I probably looked at more than that.
So he was showing you a bunch of different homes. He was
And
just,
and it is not like moving into a neighborhood or Lake Highlands where I came from, where you go, oh, I like Lake Highlands and I kind of like this elementary. This is miles and miles of sprawling countryside and so foreign to me, and it was pretty, but not appealing. And
Yeah.
so we ended up in a neighborhood where everybody had an acre and a half. And that's ended up being my bread and butter. And that is common for where I live. In Dallas, it's not as common. But we just love it. And so we moved here, and I wasn't working. I still was taking care of my kids. And I promise you when I tell you this, the first day of school, almost late, because the school's on a highway, but like an FM road. And there was a family of skunks crossing the road. I'm not kidding. And
You were skunks?
I was. And I was behind a guy pulling a trailer full of goats. Oh, man. Okay.
how often did that happen to you when you were living in Dallas?
Yeah.
Probably not too often.
Not ever. I will say that we were sitting on our back porch, and we rented a house at first and we rented it just for a little while because we weren't quite ready to buy. We hadn't sold our house in Dallas yet. Another great experience. We moved here with our house pending, and the people backed out.
Okay.
And so now, every once in a while, when that happens to my clients, I can completely empathize,
Yeah, you can
sympathize,
relate.
and I look for it since it's happened to me. But back up. So we rented a little house, and we were sitting in our porch swing, and we heard sirens, which we hadn't heard sirens in weeks since we'd been there. And I looked at my husband, and I go, "Oh, that makes me homesick." Even though, because when you're in the middle of the city,
Yeah.
you just hear noises.
Yeah.
And just things that were familiar.
And that feels home.
Yeah,
to you.
and just the big trucks or, like you say, different sirens and things.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, so my kids started school, and there was about 100 kids in each grade. And where we'd come from, there was about 700 kids in each grade in the high school. And so, but I quickly started to appreciate small town and rural living, and that the kids could be in everything. And they encouraged them to play every sport and be in the band and be a cheerleader and show FFA animals, which we did, which is funny.
Yeah.
And so that was just a whole other deal, but great. So my kids got a well-rounded education. And so when I would hear of people moving to Van Alstyne, I wasn't at all a realtor and wasn't thinking about it. I mean, in the back of my head, I thought, I'll do that someday when the kids are grown. But I would call people that I would hear moving there and say, I can help you. I can help you acclimate. And they were like, do I pay you? And so my husband said, you need to get paid for this.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought, And so when it was time for my youngest to go to college, my older one was at the junior college, and had some other activities that were expensive. And then my younger one wanted to go to Baylor, where I went. Yay, Bears. Anyway.
Shameless plug.
And that was my why. And one of the first people that was a mentor to me, she told me, you need to know your why on this.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you're hearing people's stories and you're so involved in real estate, you're seeing it's hard, and no matter how much you plan, and I am a planner, it's still hard. You're dealing with people's lives, and a lot of times you're dealing with their entire nest egg.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, their home, or their transfer, or their divorce, or their moving up, there's a lot of reasons. And so I tried to figure out, what's my why on this? And I did want to pay for my kids to go to school, but it needed to be more than that. And so...
Yeah, because that has the end point. I mean, that's...
Yes.
Yeah. Once you do
Yes.
that, then you got to
Right.
find a new why.
And so I'll touch on that in a minute. But so anyway, at the end of 2010, I started my classes, and it was so foreign. I was a journalism major, and it was so foreign. My husband, fortunately, was in real estate. He's a real estate appraiser.
That's right.
And so I knew a lot of things, that we'd talked about. And finally got licensed in April of 2011, and there was nothing going on. And so I finally got a listing, and it closed in December of 2011, and it didn't go well, just for some different reasons.
Yeah. I
The
remember you telling
buyer
me.
and the seller, and it continued to come back up for the next 6 months. And so I just thought, I like for things, when they close, I like for things to end. So that was a great lesson for me, is to really tie up the ends. So then 2012, picked up a little bit. And my oldest daughter, Laura, who we just adore, Laura has some learning disabilities that are, she didn't grow out of. And the world is not kind to her. So Laura got into her 20s, and got a few little jobs and did junior college, and that was really hard for her. Didn't get to graduate from there, and she got really stuck. So we started looking for some adventures and life style place, and we found a place that was like a senior adult independent living, where you just kind of go when you tired of mowing lawns and you just want to come and go. Well, we found a place that was Christian based, and it, which was important to us, that was for young adult living. And it, that became my why. And she lives in Austin in a place called Marbridge, and we love Marbridge, but it is, it's excellent for a reason. And certainly that is something that we want Laura to live there as long as she wants to.
Yeah.
So that is what, besides the fact that I love the job and I love working with people, my why is Laura, and she's a great why.
That's awesome.
And so it is, and I would like to get to the point where I can sponsor another young adult to live where she does, because we're so fortunate that we could do that.
Yeah.
And we can do that because we, sell a lot of real estate.
I love that. I was thinking, someone asked me the other day, what makes top agents so successful? Like, everyone's looking for the one thing. Like, what is it? And everyone is totally different, and a million. I don't know if there's, but I was like, there is one thing, and to me, it's exactly what you said. I think everyone who is extremely successful has an insatiable hunger for something, like their why, right? Like some people are really driven by money, and they're super hungry for that. Some people have an insatiable appetite to just help as many people as possible. Some people they want to help, and all these different kinds of reasons. But whatever it is, like, they have an insatiable hunger for something, and that's literally the only thing I can think of. Because some people set goals, some don't set goals at all. Some people are very detailed with their schedule, some are not at all. Like, there's all these differences, but every single person has a strong why, and they're pulled by something, and they just don't quit.
A lot of realtors are the sole provider for their family. And so a year and a half ago, I got busy enough that my husband decided to stay for a year. And we decided to do that because someone needed to run our house. And he, the real estate appraisal business is not what it used to be. And so he was looking for a change. And so for the past year, we depended on me, which was fine. And we decided to do that. But it made me, he's going to jump back in and help me. And boy, is he helpful.
Yeah. So is he licensed now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just now. And he's so smart. And he is our secret weapon.
Well, he has a great understanding of the industry, being an appraiser.
Yes. And so if I can touch on that
Absolutely,
a little bit.
yeah, of course.
One of the things so we're opposite, and he is the more detailed person, more reserved. He would never sit in this chair and talk about himself. But and so when he first started helping me 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, kind of jumping in and looking at some of my more complicated things. I do a lot of farm and ranch, a lot of raw land, and some commercial. And so he would I was helping a buyer buy a piece of land, 20-acre rectangle. I thought, great. A little water meter right by the gate, automatic gate. It was fenced. I thought, oh, this is great. They were going to build a house on the hill. So Randy said, let me look at that. Then he came back in and goes, there's a gas line cutting through the middle of that. I go, how'd you know? And because it wasn't marked. And he said, there's an abandoned rail line cutting through the other middle of, the other way that you can't build on until that's remedied. The person selling it didn't have the authority to sell it. He had a brother that he didn't tell he was selling it, and Dad left it to him. And I'll stop there because there's about 10 more things. But after that, because I used to tell him, why are you being a wet blanket? He would always look at what could go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? My clients are well served for that.
Sure.
Because
Could have been a disaster.
I'm more of a rainmaker and he's more of a dam builder, you know, and that's just, and that's
perfect.
You know,
Yin and
it is.
yang. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's really been our secret weapon. He's fabulous with graphics, and if we're selling or buying, we were looking at a 350-acre ranch, and the listing agent did not have it correct, like his picture, you know, kind of his hand-drawn picture. So Randy went home and did this gorgeous graphic, did a floodplain, did a soil map, because
Wow.
ranchers want to know what kind of soil, and had about 10 different kinds of soils. He got his master's in land economics and real estate in the agriculture school at A&M, and so he knows about when
That's
this
awesome.
kind of grass and that kind of thing. So he's our secret weapon.
Yeah.
So that's been good.
It's nice to have a secret weapon.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But to get back to what you were talking about, what makes a top agent, you know, what is it?
Yeah.
I really think it is drive, and I'm driven by money too.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had to have my other why to really seal it up.
Sure.
But it's really being authentic. It's really being who you are. And if you're not a cold call person, don't do it, because you're going to sound horrible. You know,
Yeah.
whereas I could see you cold calling and getting some success with that.
Sure.
And but the ones who aren't, they need not do that.
Right.
And I've seen so many agents or teachers, you know, have a formula. You got to call 20 people before 10 o'clock. It's a great idea,
Yeah.
because you will quit. And so I think that and with social media, as you know, one of the reasons we're here and that kind of thing, with social media, you have to be very careful about that, because you can check into anywhere you want to. You can do all kinds of fake video and things like that. And it's tempting, you know, but just to be authentic and really promote your business, yourself, your team, and that kind of thing, based on what you're really doing.
Sure. Yeah, it's not a cookie cutter approach. I mean, it's nice to have a system and a path, but you got to find, within that, you need to find who you are and how you.
And so many of us rainmakers do need a system and love a system. And
Yeah.
probably one of the best things I've ever done is to bring in an assistant
Sure.
that fills in all my gaps, because I've got them. You
Yeah.
know, my strengths and weaknesses are glaring.
Well, you have weaknesses?
You know, you wouldn't know, because I've got somebody filling in the gaps. But that's a smart thing to do, and it's just spending
Yes.
some money.
Yeah,
You know, you getting Geneva here, it's a great idea.
that's right.
It really was.
Package deal.
She's so good.
She's great.
And I think that is another thing that I would tell, you know, a top producer. So in Grayson County last year, according to MLS, I produced more, you know, I had the highest numbers in Grayson County. Shooting for that again. There is, if not, it'll be really close, but
Yeah.
we had the best year that we've ever had. And
Really?
we're so thankful. We just,
So in eight years or so, this is
this is it.
the
This is
best one?
Yeah, this is a really, it's just been such a blessing. We've got 5 agents, so 4 besides me, and interviewed a couple of new ones. And I definitely know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll be coming on in maybe 3 or 4 months when they're done with their classes and that kind of thing.
Has it been a challenge finding the right people to join your team?
Yeah, you know, that I've been very slow to do that. And we've had a few come work for us that moved or got out of the business, you know, or just realized, whoa, you know, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
You know, as
Yeah.
far as on our team, we do have some expectations. Really, though, I tell that my teammates, if you don't work, you don't get paid. I
Gotta eat what
that's-
you kill.
Yeah, and that's in sales. And so, I really try to look at, we do that DISC test, D-I-S-C, you know? And I definitely don't want everybody to line up with me.
High I and probably also high D.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm actually surprisingly, I'm high I and I'm high S, I believe.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised when you said that, but I could see a D too.
Yeah.
Yes, and so, yeah, and I think that what's happened so far, and where we've had some success, is bringing in agents that are brand new to the business,
Okay.
that have been successful in business. I'm not really looking
Not
for.
sales, but I mean, in sales
No,
specifically?
none
or?
of them have been.
Really?
Yeah. One, a little bit, but nothing like this. And just that that I like how they handle the rest of their business,
Yeah.
because I can train them. I think I'm inclined that way. I'm kind
Sure.
of a teacher. And so, yeah, it's been good. I wanted to tell you a few challenges we've had. Besides the land we tried to sell the guy.
Yeah,
We did have to find a brother and a sister and fly them down here from a different state to sign off. But, and a bunch of things. First one this last year is I was doing this beautiful ranch. I was listing this beautiful ranch in Van Alstyne on the highway. And so ranchers are quite proud of their land.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the properties we sell you can't see from the road. So we want to do fabulous signage. You know, tall, and sometimes I'll have a sign made on the spot.
Okay.
You know, I'll get the panel and have somebody go build it because it's too big for us to get it over there. And so we had this beautiful sign. I was so proud of it. And the company that I bought the sign from was going to come install it, and they installed it in the wrong property.
Oh, no.
And I got a call from the sheriff because my name's all over it.
And
My
they
name-
dig that down, right? I mean,
Oh, they have this giant auger thing, and it was in so much concrete.
it's not just here, put the sign in. It's a.
No, it was massive. So my
Oh, dear.
husband, so someone told him,
Was
and
it
it's-
was it right next door?
it was
or-
100 yards away. And so my husband dug that sign up. He just took a shovel over there, and he called a couple of guys, and they drug it 100 yards to the right property.
Oh my God.
But I'm telling you, farm and ranch people, you don't sneak up on country people. You certainly don't install something on their land
Oh yeah.
with my
So
name
were
on
they?
it.
Were they? I mean, how long was it there? A day?
No, it was a couple of hours, but it was a long couple of hours. I went to the little police station in town and said, "It's me. We're over there digging it out," and they just laughed.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Did the owner? Were they there at the time?
One of them was, yes.
Were they upset?
They were concerned. It was gone so fast, but I say so fast. It's the longest 2 hours
Yeah.
that I left. But I mean,
Had some yard patching up to do after that.
my husband had it beautiful.
Yeah.
He put it back.
Looked better than
Yes.
it left it.
And so that was one of our kind of funny. But I had just told Randy, I want this thing huge because the house is set back and it looked really huge in the wrong yard.
Yeah. It's a
So-
ginormous sign.
Yeah. So there's things like that.
So real estate tip: put the sign in the right,
Right property.
in the right
And
pro-
then
got it.
we now install them ourselves. But my husband said recently, going back to what real estate is, we're problem solvers.
Yeah.
We really are. We're
Mm-hmm.
problem solvers. And like Randy said the other day, he said, "Nike is a management company that happens to sell tennis shoes."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, a marketing company, sorry.
Sure.
And so I was talking about marketing. He
Mm-hmm.
goes, "You need to be a marketing company that sells houses."
Sure.
But certainly we're both, because I don't just see it as marketing. But I think that it's important
Yeah.
that you kind of have that mindset of being a marketing company,
Mm-hmm.
because my clients are depending on me getting the word out.
Oh,
And-
100%.
And especially for these houses you can't even see.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that is a challenge for us.
Yeah.
And they're usually pretty, go down a long driveway, and sometimes we'll video going down there. But you've got to get the word out. People
Yeah.
can't drive by their house.
Right. Yeah, and you've done very very well with that. I mean, we were just talking earlier that you have several thousand followers. I think 5,000
Yeah.
on your Facebook
Yeah.
page. So you enjoy
working
the
on
marketing
that
side
stuff.
of it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I do love it. And I do it myself. I've had some other people help me, and certainly I watch a lot of YouTube, the panel that you had
Yeah.
at our last session.
Yeah.
So helpful. And I've been studying Mike a
Oh,
lot.
yeah?
Yeah.
Mike
And,
Mazik.
and definitely want to meet with him. That was
Sure.
that was really time well spent. I told my
Right.
fellow realtors, the ones that didn't go, that they really missed it.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I won't
Good.
miss another one.
Awesome.
And
Well,
so-
I appreciate you saying that. I thought
Yeah.
it was a great event as well.
It was, but I just got so much out of it.
Yeah.
I really did.
Great.
I just think that it's really important that those of us that are committed to being top producers and our clients are counting on us being very full-time, very present, very
Sure.
relevant. We've got to keep sharpening each other.
Yes. Yeah.
And so,
Iron sharps iron.
iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
I like a good Bible verse. And so,
Yeah.
the other thing I would tell you, just about what we're doing, I guess you're asking like top producer, what makes a top producer?
Yeah.
We have a niche. It's mostly in our little town. You wouldn't think that we could sell much in one little town, but it's growing. And certainly the towns around it. Grayson County and North Collin, we've been fortunate to be all over the place. But we really, really study our market. And it's hard to know.
It's interesting because when a lot of people, they think they think backwards when it goes to like niches, like because you really do need to be very specific.
Very specific.
People often think, well, I don't want to limit myself, so I'm the expert of DFW.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
But so touch on that because I mean, clearly you've had a niche. I know there's several other agents who focus on very small, like historic downtown McKinney's, but they're
Yes.
just incredibly
They're
successful.
great. So every agent on my team lives in Van Alstyne. Their kids either went to school or are in school there. My office, you've been to our office.
Yeah.
Got a cute little yellow farmhouse on a busy corner there. Is in the middle of Van Alstyne. And I'm on several boards, the Education Foundation and the Chamber and some others. And then the different members of my team are, like one of them is real connected at our senior center, which is, we love our senior center. And we have two different agents that have kids. We have two elementary schools now, and so we think we've arrived.
Oh, you guys are there.
So, I mean, we're embedded.
So any questions on Van Alstyne area, you guys got it covered.
And I have been kind of smiling this week. Part of it you're like, oh, but I have noticed, and I don't know what it is about this week. I guess I'm the expert because people are just calling. They're not calling to hire me. Do you think I should rent that little space down there? And I had that all morning and yesterday.
Really?
But I'm flattered.
Yeah.
I do take a few minutes to talk to them and tell them why. And on one of them I said yes, no.
Yeah.
And I told them why. And I was so happy that we'd done our homework. And I could tell them what I knew, why that was not a good choice. And I told them a better choice, and I didn't get any money for it. But I want to be known, and I want to be the person in Van Alstyne who can answer your real estate questions.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what we do, we don't specifically get paid for necessarily, but I think overall it's good for our business, and it's just good for our town. And like I said, I did it for free for years.
Yeah.
And I think that if you get paid doing something that you would do for free, then you probably love it. Now,
Yeah.
let's be clear. I'm not a free realtor, but
Right.
I'm gonna, but
0%. Yeah.
yeah. But if you were a dentist, I still think you'd be a marketing king.
Yeah.
I think it's who you are.
Sure.
And so
So
that's what I mean.
marketing niches, I think we talked about the importance of marketing. I want to say when you and I met, there's a story about a car wash that I
Yes.
believe you sold, and that's worked out great for marketing too, right?
Yes. Oh, that was okay. I will tell that one. So my office, backs up to this car wash in town. Before it ever was a car wash, it was a gas station. So what happened is there was this marquee, I mean old marquee out front, and I would see that like every once in a while there'd be an announcement with the little letters you stick up there, and I thought that's cute, you know. And but it is on the main corner in our town, and you cannot not drive past it if you're going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I found the car wash, I found the car wash owner, and I asked him, I had gotten my first listing and I was going to do an open house. And I said, you know, can I advertise on this? And he told me who kind of sets that up. And I called him, because it usually was just sign-ups for baseball. And I advertised my open house. And I mean, that open house was packed. And I did not have any listing except that one. I didn't have a Facebook page yet. And so many people said, gosh, I just see you everywhere.
Yeah.
I thought, in one place.
It's in one spot.
So that was a great start. But anyway, that guy asked me to sell it for him. And so my husband, Eeyore, who, you know, was what we call him sometimes, about looking at what might go wrong, figured out that there was old buried tanks in there, that you can't sell something anymore with buried gas tanks. And da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And you know what? We got it all remedied and sold it, and the guy is just killing it with the car wash.
Yeah.
The new guy.
That's got to feel good.
And I've done a lot of business with him since.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started out
That
my
sign.
career on the little sign at the car wash, and every once in a while I still do it because
Yeah.
the sign's still there.
Hey, it's all about location.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about, I know you have a big passion for swimming. Yeah.
I do. I started swimming competitively when I was in elementary school, and then I swam for my high school. And then when I was in high school, I became the assistant coach of my summer league. And there was about 150 kids, huge club. And so I started teaching the little ones who could just barely make the 25 yards and on the side. And their parents would, you know, pay me pretty well for a like 16-year-old. I was thrilled. And so then the next summer they made me coach of all the younger ones, and I loved that. But I also loved competing. And, you know, I'm very competitive nature, and that helps in all this too.
Of course.
So, as I told you, I ended up swimming for Baylor where I went, but that was not like swimming at some schools. But still, we represented our college.
Hey.
And it was a great set out of college, and I was in sales. I was a journalism major, but I still went into sales because that's just who I am. That, you know, I could. And so I have taught swimming every summer since 1977. I've never missed a summer.
Really?
And I still did this summer.
Dang.
And I love it. I don't need to
Is it
teach.
like a 12-week thing? Is it
It's 2 weeks.
2
I
week?
only do 2 kids at a time, and we get it done. And I handle my swimming lessons like I did my kids, because most kids don't want to be there. Most of them think they're going to meet their demise, and we're all cheering for them. So I tell them very nicely and lovingly, we're going to do this mad, sad, or glad.
Mad, sad, or glad.
Just like I told my kids.
There you go.
And so it's a good method, and no one's going to get hurt. That's why I just do 2. Because if I had more than 2, somebody would get hurt.
That's really impressive.
And so we get it done in 2 weeks, and at the end of 2 weeks, if they're over 3, then I throw them in the deep end with their jeans and boots and a coat on. You know, I mean, we talk about it. I don't just, but
Man, no.
Yeah.
Because in case that happens
you wouldn't
in real life.
believe, year after year, I get a call at least once a year that their child fell in the winter.
Wow.
Remember big wheels? Remember those little things? They ride their big wheels in there.
Oh, yeah?
Because they think that's fun. They make around the pool, the racetrack, and they end up in the bottom of the pool with the big wheel.
Well, I love that you do that. I think that's because that's real life application. And
It is.
I have a very best friend who lost his father, who fell into the water in choppy water, and he was fully clothed and lost his life because of it. And so.
And it has really helped my youngsters who've fallen in.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to teach swimming anymore, but I just think it's a great service.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone needs to learn to swim, and I teach adults too. If Mama doesn't know how to swim, then she has to get in with us.
So I believe you told me if you did not do real estate, you'd probably be doing that
I would do that full time.
full time.
Yes, I love it. I'm a teacher by nature, I guess, and I think the incredible life skill.
Yeah.
It's not negotiable, you know.
Well, Geneva is not the world's best swimmer.
Oh, Geneva, we'll visit.
Yeah, you guys actually should talk because I have a lake cabin in central Minnesota and we go there every summer.
Well, and I do find that people outside of Texas don't swim near as much as we do
Sure,
here.
okay.
You know, we certainly have a much longer calendar
Yes.
for that.
I'm curious what you love because I'm not a big fan of, I like being in the water. I hate swimming though. Like I love running. Like when I run, my mind is clear. I have ideas. Like there's a lot of joy when I run. I mean.
I couldn't run to the end of the street.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love it. I feel so free. I just feel so free when I teach swimming to a little bit older kids, like maybe 6-year-olds. We pretend like we're a dolphin and we're swimming at the bottom of the ocean, and it just,
Yeah.
I do it for me. They think that I'm doing it for them, but it's just so free. And I just do.
Scuba diving? Have you done?
You know what? I haven't, and I'm
What?
surprised I haven't. I snorkel, but I haven't just because my family's like, I'm not going down to the bottom of the ocean.
Well, you don't need to, so that was one of my favorite water experiences was scuba diving.
I need to do. I know I need to do it.
But we only went down I think the deepest we could go down was like 50 feet, but we could go through like caves and like.
I would be like, I love all those mermaid movies where, you know, where she ends up living back in the
Well,
ocean.
that's when I can feel like you can settle into the environment and you can like have the perspective of a fish that would live down there. And that's like, it was have that experience and be like, man, this is their world. Like this is, you know, it's just, yeah, it's a totally different world.
When I was about 12, my mom looked into maybe getting some ADD medicine for me. And the doctor said, I really think a year-round swim program will do it.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, it
That was
just
a
changed
cure.
everything.
No way.
And they just the left, right.
It's meditative.
Yes, and then when I had a child that needed some occupational therapy, they told me the same thing.
Wow.
So I just think I love it, and I probably love the most when I have a child that we would compromised, you know, just in the world.
Sure.
Just maybe physically or even emotionally, or has some sensory stuff and they're scared of everything. They don't like people to touch them, and I love them. And their mother loves me for loving them because I had one.
Yeah.
And I know how she feels.
Right.
You know, and when I sent my oldest to swimming lessons, who had all those things, some nice college girl came out and goes, she just won't do it. And I was like, really? Do 4-year-olds get a vote? And so I love that part. And I love that in real estate too. I tend to sell, you know, we all are going to do this, the higher end properties. But at least once a month, I'll take a little first-time buyer or someone who's in trouble and has got to get out of their house and they don't have one dime left.
Yeah.
I just closed one that I didn't end up taking a fee for, and man, they're in the mission field, and once we got into the inspection, it was about a $13,000 repair, and it was so great to be able to help them. Sure, I'm in this for the money. I do this for the money, but about once a month, one will come up and I'll think, you know what? I've been so blessed.
That's great.
With all these really high-end properties, and they need me.
Yeah.
And so again, find something you love and see if you can get paid for it.
Yeah, which is exactly what you did. Yeah, I think that's awesome. What? So you love to go swimming. If you're not doing real estate, what, do we find you reading books, Netflix, golfing? I mean, swimming obviously, but
my husband and I are involved in our church in Van Alstyne, And we have 5 couples, 30 and under, that are in our small group. And then we just picked up one that's about 10 years older than them, because I was like, somebody's got to come, somebody with kids, older kids, come balance this out a little bit. But we spend a lot of time with them, and 2 of them don't have family within miles and miles and miles. You know, like New York, upstate New York,
yeah.
and that kind of thing. And they all have 3 kids under 5, you know. So grandparents yet, but we're kind of grandparents to them with shows and their
awesome.
soccer games. And we've invested in these young couples. Some people invested in us, and our 32nd anniversary is next week.
Oh, wow.
And
Congrats.
oh, thank you. A lot of our relationship success and just teamwork has been because some older couples invested in us.
Yeah.
So we do a lot with them. I love to go to lunch with a friend.
Yeah?
If I have a spare minute, I'll just call up a friend I haven't seen and just go to lunch and just, you know,
That's great.
take my watch off.
Yeah, get
and
away.
I don't get to do that very often because
Sure.
I have a lot of people dependent on me to pay attention. But my spare time, I think that my love language, as they say, is time.
Sure. Well, you clearly have a big heart, and I
Thank you.
think it's clear why you've been so successful in real estate. Is there anything, I know we got to wrap up the show here, is there anything else that you'd like to say, maybe something we didn't cover about who you are? I mean, I think you did a great job of covering it, but is there anything else?
I think that's just who we are.
That's who you
No,
are.
we're good. We're rural realtors, which I never thought I'd say, but I love it. And introducing to country living, and where we are, straight up 75, that is the best spot that I could ever think of for a good blend of being able to get into town quickly, but have more of a rural experience that's peaceful and safe and
Yeah.
sweet.
Well, I love it. I cannot wait for the March issue of 2020.
I know. Can't even believe that's coming.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to come here soon. And thank you again so much for
Thank
being a
you for
part of this
having
and
me.
coming here today. And I'm very grateful for you.
Okay, back at you.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
so thank you for tuning in to
We went
Real Producers TV. Tune in next time.